This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 845, The Glacier Front, Centistan on Ice. Enjoy. There was also a patch note this week that really had the community talking about this, and we're talking about the change to the chat font face. I think we have all noticed that, correct? And I'm gonna stick my neck out on the line and ask, did you like this chat change?
No.
Okay.
Where did my text size 13 go? 12 is too small. 14 is too big. I want my 13 back.
All right. Oh, you bears.
No, simply because I messed with Alt 1. I don't know if Alt 1's fixed yet, but that's tough not having Alt 1.
Yeah. So what we're talking about here is that this font change that was in the patch note last week, it didn't arrive. They changed the font to something called Noto Sans, which is a true type font, which is the kind of font we all use on our computers each and every day. And the benefit of having these fonts in play, rather than what existed previously, is that these fonts are a lot more scalable in terms of the sizes that they can display, and they have a wider support for special characters. Now, the way fonts used to work in game is that they were all based off of specific glyphs, so every letter you would see was a glyph that was stored on Jagex's server, and then whenever you typed into the chat box, it would render those glyphs to put them in order of a font. And the downside of that was that it took a long time after UI scaling came out to actually get scalable chat. So presumably with this will pave the way for a wider, system-wide, game-wide interface scaling option that will work better than what we currently have. Because, if you turn interface scaling on currently, you still get a bit of blurriness from the chat, but we have the option to increase chat size independently. Now, I realize that it's a huge change, but I think at the end of the day, this is going to be for the better. They could have, I think, made this go over a little bit easier if they would have kept the default font size of 11, because right now the options are 10 and 12, I think. They go up every amount to 22.
That's correct.
And
it used to be 11, 13, 15, 17.
Right. Now it starts at 10 and then 12, so you got to choose which one. So I think if they would have kept the 11 in there, made it 11, 13, and just focused on the odd numbers instead, and also adjusted what's called the kerning of the font, which is the space in between additional letters, I think all of the questions about readability would have went away on this. And I think those are the two big problems with this, and people just don't know how to articulate that, is that it comes down to the spacing of the font and the fact that it's 1 point smaller than what everybody's used to.
Yeah, I'll be honest. So I have dyslexia, and so font is a really big key point for me. And the fonts that they have now, it's very difficult with the sizes that they have to distinguish either spaces, characters, stuff like that. And if they want to make quality of life changes, the trade chat or the chat is great, but I would like to see them make it available to change the questing font size, because that's a default. I have to squint, really lean in, really focus to read those.
You mean on near where the chat heads appear, right?
No, so when you're doing a quest and the quest text pops up in a separate screen, you can't change the default quest text.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and
I would like to see that be able to change, even if it's these font sizes.
Right, and I think what the problem is overall is that, as I understand it, each user interface in-game is built manually, so it's not just a simple matter of changing fonts in chat and having it propagate throughout the entire game. Each UI would have to update with that, and
Sure.
that's the problem as to why it's taking so long to get all these user interface fixes out the door. And I honestly think people are going to come to like this font. It's just a question of getting people used to it, maybe increasing the spacing a bit and increasing the default size by 1 point. I think those are the 3 things that would help roll this over. But at the end of the day, we are going to get to a phase at some point in RuneScape where we're going to have a fully scalable UI, and the chat will be able to be scalable directly with that to any font size that it needs to be. So this is more along the lines of future-proofing rather than just changing the font for the hell of it, as some people thought it would be. So
I also think if they wouldn't have made it right when you enter the game be size 10 font, like if it was size 12, I don't know if I would have noticed any difference.
It's not a sane default. So
I think if they would have set it as 12, I would not have noticed at all.
Yeah, and one of the things you're doing when you want to build something like this is you want to try and ease your users into it the best you can, and it would have been done probably the best way by looking at the font sizes on that. So I hope that this is something that is changeable to increase it to default 11, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.